Hi guys, back for our weekly practice. I can honestly tell you that the original plan was to do live Google Hangout classes once a week on a Sunday evening, but by nature of the two sections having one had lower enrollment than the other, they combined them together. So if anyone knows the way around the 10-person limit on a Google Hangout, please let me know, because I'd much rather be able to answer your questions about the practice live and to possibly be able to see what you're doing. I think that will be a better service to everyone. But for now, until we figure that out, you get a little introduction to my living room, and today we're going to talk a little bit about foundation. I do have my notes beside me so that I make sure I cover everything that I want to cover with you. So if you see me turn to the side or refer to them, you're okay. We're not doing anything fancy today. We're just really talking about foundation. The parts of the mat, the parts of you that touch the floor. You will need a non-slide surface like a yoga mat, but if you do not have one, it's not necessary. I just want to make sure you're safe and that you're not sliding around. All right, let me back up. Hopefully you had a chance to review the handouts in this week's material that talk about hand and foot placement and where weight is. So we're going to play with those ideas that are introduced in those handouts. You'll stand with your feet about walking distance apart. And as you stand in this place, you want all four corners of the feet to touch the ground. Maybe lift and spread the toes so that you find you have extra space. Drop your tailbone down, lift the belly button up, and as your shoulders draw back, relax your ears over the shoulders, line them up. Keep the legs nice and strong so your stabilizing energy will contract the muscles to help keep you stable. Inhale, expand the arms up overhead. Exhale, lower your hands down by your sides. Inhale, raise the arms up overhead. Exhale, lower the hands down by your sides. Now as you breathe and move your arms, notice if the weight begins to wobble in your feet. If any part of your foundation begins to shift as your arms move. It's not a judgment call. It's not good or bad. It's just something to be aware of so that later on you know how to make yourself more stable, more safe. Make this your last one here. Lower your hands by your sides. I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bow forward so that your fingertips come down to the floor. Feel free to bend your knees as much as you need to make sure your lower back stays comfortable. That all depends on your hamstrings. Kind of wiggle around a little bit once your hands get down. Again, bend the knees as much as you need to be comfortable. And make sure that your lower back loosens up a little bit. Now keep your legs stable, strong. Bring your hands close to your knees and expand your chest forward so that it becomes easier to breathe. You should be able to feel your breastbone extend towards the wall in front of you and be able to see that wall. Exhale, go back down, bow forward. Do that again. Inhale, come halfway up, hands near knees, extend, expand forward. Knees can still be bent. Exhale, fold. One more time. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, bow forward. Push from your hips to your heels. Inhale, stand, come all the way up. All right, let's put that whole thing together. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, this time, hands to your hips. Inhale, stand, come all the way up. Exhale, hands by your sides. Do that again. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, stand, come all the way up. Exhale, hands by sides. One more time, make sure we're warming up okay. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, stand. Come all the way up. Exhale, hands by your sides. Make sure you have room to step behind you. So I'm going to step forward just a bit, but keep myself in camera view. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bow forward. Again, feel free to bend your knees. Right leg steps way back behind you. Way back. So I ended up off my mat on my wood floor, which is a little slick, but make sure you're safe. Look down at your left foot that's underneath you. Make sure your hands aren't more forward than your foot. Walk your hands back so they line up with your heel or your instep, and then wiggle your right leg back a little bit more. Lower your back knee down. Sit back to a hamstring stretch, kind of like middle school gym class. Take one more breath here. And then rebend the front knee. Lift the back knee up to get all four corners of each foot engaged. And then step your right leg forward. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, stand, come all the way up. Exhale, hands by your sides. Let's go the other way. I'm going to turn around and see if I can stay on my mat this time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, left leg steps way back behind you. Take your lunge. So again, make sure your fingertips or your palms, depending on how long you are not in front of your foot. You want to see your fingertips right by the heel or by the instep. Lower the back knee down and then sit back for a hamstring stretch. Good job, you guys. Exhale, rebend the front knee. Lift your back knee up. Step forward. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, hands to your hips. Inhale, stand, come all the way up. Exhale, hands by your sides. Now I encourage you to repeat that as many times as you need and begin to notice if you feel the weight shift in those four corners of the feet. So again, the idea is to create just enough stability and expanding energy that you can feel the foundation really solid. Okay? Let's move on to what happens when your feet aren't facing the same direction, like in a standing pose. Okay? Here we go. So back to the mat. Step your feet wide, and we'll talk more about standing poses as we go. I just want you to get the idea. You're going to leave this leg exactly where it is. Turn this hip out so that the toes face the wall to your right. Bend the knee. And now you've got to find all four corners of each foot when the feet are not facing the same direction. Something to think about. Notice if one foot bears more weight than the other and see if you can shift weight back to the other side. Or if you have more weight in one part of the foot than the other. So the tendency is this back foot tends to get more weight in the big toe and you want to spread it more towards the little toe. Bring your knee straight. Turn your hip forward. Trade sides. So now this leg doesn't move. Turn this left leg out. Bend the knee. Again, find the weight even through both feet, best that you can. Lift your chest. We're not worried about the arms right now. Take one more breath here. And then exhale, push your leg straight. Turn your leg in. Go back to the other side. So turn the hip out. This leg is still facing forward towards me. This leg turns out to the side. Bend the knee. Rest your forearm on the thigh so you begin to lean more on purpose and stretch the arm overhead. Now, here's the trick. You've got to get the weight even in both feet again. Because where did all your weight go? Yeah, it went into this leg that you're leaning on, right? So now you have to actively expand into the back leg. Or else your front leg is going to start to get really tired very soon. Inhale, come up. Trade sides. Turn this hip forward, turn this hip out. So again, check your back toes, make sure they're facing forward towards knee. Other toes turn out to the side. Bend knee, and if you ever have any question, you can look in your textbook. This pose is in there, I promise. Rest the forearm on the thigh. Stretch the arm overhead. So by nature of the shape you've made, all your weight went into one side. But you've got to push for an even foundation, expand into the opposite leg, and that way your front leg, again, won't get so tired. Inhale, come up. Turn the feet in. Walk the feet in. Again, we're going to play more with that. Let's talk a little bit about the hands. They're a little more tricky. So the hands, as you saw in the diagram, also have four corners just like the foot does, but now your fingertips play an important role, whereas your toes didn't play that bigger role when you were standing, right? So I'm going to move the camera a little closer so that maybe you can see me a little bit better. And we're coming down to the floor. All fours, hands and knees. As you not only think about placing the weight through the hands, you want to think about where your hands actually are, so that the center of your wrist lines up with the widest part of your shoulder, so that there is such a thing as too close together, and there is such a thing as too far apart. You really want to line up joint over joint, because that's how you're made. When you stand, your knees are over your ankles, your hips are over your knees. You're made to be joint over joint. That's your most safe place. Okay. As you line up wrists and shoulders, spread the fingers like you're playing every other key on the piano, and the knees are going to go just a little bit behind your hips, because if they're too close to you, you're going to get stuck. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, round the back like a cat. Belly button up, crown the head down towards the floor, and as you inhale, do the exact opposite now. Arch your back, lift your chest. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. One more time. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. All right, good job, you guys. I'm going to turn around again so that you can see and end up more in the sunlight. So hand placement will stay the same. We're moving to one of the most famous poses known as downward facing dog. So center the wrist still wide as your shoulders, fingers spread, knees walk back a little bit more. Turn your toes under, lift your hips up and back until you look like an upside down V or a puppy stretching after a nap. Now, if your hamstrings are tight or your lower back is bothered, bend your knees. That's okay. Get the length in your spine as you push into your hands to expand more. If you feel yourself sliding, stabilize by squeezing the thumbs towards each other, or squeezing the thumbs, or the arms might be a better word, squeezing the arms towards each other so you have some muscles kick in to help keep you stable. Take one more breath here, and then exhale, bend your knees more, come all the way down. Take a seat on the ground. Sit comfortably, whatever that means to you. Take your right hand to your left knee, sit tall, and then just turn. Come back to the middle, and then trade sides. Take your left hand to your right knee, sit up, and turn. And come back to the middle. Rest your hands and be still for about 10 breaths. take your time reopening the eyes. But I encourage you to practice this week, whether you redo this video over and over again, or you find a class or a YouTube clip or a videotape, whatever it is that you choose to practice with for your journal this week, or actually your journal next week, that you've really worked on this idea of foundation. How are your hands and feet placed on the ground? Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and I hope this information was helpful. Thanks, you guys.